1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Yeah, you did die and go to heaven. Because you know where you are, baby. You're at the greatest, best, most accurate, honest reviews in rock and roll. Done by Clark the Shark, guitarist, drummer extraordinaire, lead vocals from GE. And I want to talk about the Who Sellout 1967. And what an amazing album this is. Just incredible. Now, to frame this, 1965, The Who put out their debut album, My Generation, also known as The Who Sings My Generation. Slightly different, the American and British releases, but I actually like the British one more. It's really hard rockin' blues R&B by these young kids who are, these 20-year-old guys, The Who. Just an amazing album. The Who debut album is like their greatest, I swear. It's awesome. And but they would get even better as they go along. In 1966, The Who start rocking all this pop, Substitute, I'm a Boy. Man, incredible songs in 1966. A Quick One album and Happy Jack. Amazing at 1-800-449-8255, Clark the Shark Show. And, on that first Who album, the song The Ox, I think basically invents heavy metal. That's, some people think it's Bitter Creek. I think I Hear the Sound of Thunder, 1967, or maybe Steppenwolf, or Blue Cheer. But I think it's The Ox by The Who. Now, you could make a strong argument for some Beatles songs. It Won't Be Long and, Drive My Car. And some of them have heavy metal, hard rocking inclinations. And of course, the Beatles just exploded with Helter Skelter in 68, which is definitely a heavy metal song. But on The Who Sell Out, I Can See for Miles is a really awesome, heavy song. And this whole album, kind of like The Who, Tommy, is a bit behind the times. It's released in late 1967. Long after a lot of great albums, were already released that year. And I think The Who recorded this, could have got the album out earlier. But they were lucky to get this thing out in 67, under the wire to meet the deadline. Because this probably wouldn't have sounded as good had it come out in 1968. But today, we know The Who sell out as 1967. And this little rock opera, precursor to Tommy, these songs are all, pretty much Tommy's mommy. This is a demo for Tommy. But a lot of people say this album is better than Tommy. And I kind of agree. Even though, Tommy is awesome. It's got great dysfunctional weirdo songs all over it. But you could make a strong case that The Who Sell Out does that too. And maybe even better at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Clark the Shark, the Wolfman Jack on crack. I'm reviewing one of the greatest albums of all time, The Who Sell Out, 1967. Armonia City in the Sky, just one of rock and roll's all-time psychedelic masterpieces, begins this album. And it truly is The Who's version of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows. But done even better and done right, baby. Just amazing. And, all of, it's going to get a bunch of good star ratings. Should get 5s. It gets 1, but, it gets 2. But, 4 stars. 5 stars, 4 stars. That's That's the Who Sell Out, baby. Early Who when they were young. Just too young, man. Not ready yet. Green, very green, the Who. And yet, this is amazing. Who's next later on when they're older, wiser, more mature arena rockers in Quadrophenia, and all that. In some weird way, I find those albums to be boring and, just classic rock from the 70s. But in the 60s, back in the psychedelic heyday, there was a magical time with all these amazing albums in 1967. And none were more amazing than the Who Sell Out at 1-800-449-8255. Yes, the Who put out an R&B kick-ass rock and roll album in 65. And then they went really interesting pop in 66 with I Need You and Whiskey Man and Boris the Spider and Substitute, I'm a Boy. All these cool songs in 1966, which was such a great year for rock and roll. And then in 67, earlier in the year, they did a song called Pictures of Lily, which was a heavy pop, controversial little jingle of a song. Awesome. That song could have been on this album, but maybe not. This is a little later in 1967. But Armonia, City in the Sky, truly amazing song with that feedback from Pete Townsend, and everything about it is awesome. The bass and drums and Entwistle and Moon, and truly that song is where the Who, you listen to Armonia, City in the Sky, and you're like, holy shit, this band is going to be huge. They're losing their minds, and they think they're rock gods with that song. Like, they think they're the Beatles. And then, of course, Heinz Baked Beans, which is so retarded and silly and funny. Could have been off Tommy or something. It's just, displaying how young and immature and pimply faced the Who still were in 1967. This isn't the macho bell-bottom guys, wearing boiler suits at, Woodstock and Who's Next and Quadrophenia. This is the young Who when they're really clever geniuses. And you get a little taste of what Tommy is going to be like with the Who Sell Out. But the Who Sell Out in many ways is just better, flat out. Now, the hilarious song, Marianne with the Shaky Hands, you know what that's about. It's just awesome. And, of course, the original Who Sell Out has the little Latin version of the song, which is so cool, man. I fucking love that song. And then Odorano and Tattoo. To me, this is like one little song, like a rock opera. I love Odorano. It's just hilarious. Believe me, Frank Zappa had to blush when he heard this album and he heard these songs. And of course, Tattoo is a Who classic. It's just amazing. Roger's voice is just awesome on Tattoo. And Our Love is just a beautiful song. And it is the, So Sad About Us of this album. What that song was to a quick one, Happy Jack in 66. I love Our Love is awesome song. And of course, one of the greatest songs ever recorded in rock and roll history, I Can See for Miles. Is it the original heavy kick-ass song? I don't know, man. I think the Music Machine has it beat. I think even songs by the Who themselves have it beat, way before it. The Yardbirds, you could make I'm a Man and a bunch of those songs. And, Jimmy Page had some kick-ass songs with the Yardbirds before this, or maybe about this time. The Yardbirds version of Think About It, which of course my band, The Greenhouse Effect, famously did, is awesome and heavy, man. Jimmy Page and the Yardbirds, Think About It. Jimmy Page and the Yardbirds go through an interesting kick-ass little heavy phase in 1967. I love the album Little Games and all those little songs they recorded in there. Would have been interesting to see where that was going. But the Who Sell Out with I Can See for Miles, this song just stands as a rock and roll monument. One of the greatest songs. And side one starts awesome, ends awesome, and in between is just fucking awesome. Uh, One of the greatest sides in a rock and roll album in the history of rock and roll. Funny, funnier than Frank Zappa. I mean, Frank Zappa thought he was funny and irreverent and ironic, and then he heard the Who Sell Out. And he was like, holy shit, I gotta get better, man. I gotta be as funny and weird as these weirdos. Because the Who, man, there's nothing weirder or funnier or more ironic. The Who are right there with Ray Davies, man. I swear to God. The Who are amazing, and this album is just awesome. Side 2 starts out with another Who epic, I Can't Reach You. Just an amazing song, one of the greatest in the Who catalog. Every Who fan knows it. It's awesome, but it's not really known as a big Who song, but it is. I Can't Reach You is great. And, you know, if you've ever been in love with a chick and, you know, you love that song, you know. And then Medic is funny, you know. We get back to that Frank Zappa funny thing, you know. Just retarded lyrics about a kid with acne. It's just awesome. And then Relax is just a killer little psychedelic song. Now, at this point in the album, the Who are just having fun with you, baby. Because Silas Stingy sounds like Syd Barrett, Piper at the Gates of Dawn on fucking crack on meth, man. This is John Entwistle at his greatest. Silas Stingy. Just hilarious, funny lyrics about a guy who's counting up his money. And you realize he doesn't have any more. It's just a song about every one of us. Silas Stingy is awesome, man. And of course, the Pete Townshend little acoustic ditty, Sunrise, which Pete Townshend and The Who both play. Pete plays it solo live, and The Who plays it in concert a lot, as they also play Tattoo. They play Tattoo more than they play I Can See for Miles. And of course, the classic ending to this album, Rail, Parts 1 and 2, which is the little mini rock opera in one, where this whole entire album takes a quick one from 1966 and perfects it. And the Who are just hitting on all cylinders on this album. But Rail Parts 1 and 2, this song is just breathtaking. Prog rock. Keith Moon is shredding double bass. He's doing a blast beat in this song in 1967. One of the first drummers to ever do it in a song. It's just amazing. Rail Parts 1 and 2. I Can't Reach You. Silas Stingy. It's just, side 2 is awesome. It's funny. It doesn't have all the little jingles in between like the side 1. But I almost like side 2 more than side 1. But side 1 is so epic of the Who Sell Out. And then all the bonus tracks, you know, like the song Melancholia, which is so killer, is not from this period. It's a song from 1968, and it really shouldn't be with the Who Sell Out. I almost think Melancholia should be with Tommy and all those songs. But Glittering Girl is cool, and, you know, Jaguar. Early Morning Cold Taxi, I love that song. And, you know, Girl's Eyes, the Keith Moon song, is killer. And then this other version of Marianne with the Shaky Hands is killer. It's like a more rock and roll version. But, you know, Glow Girl, we all know that song is fucking awesome. But, you know, I'm not really here to rate the bonus tracks and B-sides. I'm talking about the Who Sell Out from 1967. One of the greatest rock and roll albums ever in music. I mean, this is a work of art. This is a project where the Who were kind of desperate and they had to do a great album. And they were very frustrated because the first 2 albums by the Who are so great, you know, and this album, The Who Sell Out, should be in the National Registry. It's just classic, awesome albums. If not for Armonia City in the Sky alone, just all by itself. But then, you know, Rail Parts 1 and 2 and I Can See for Miles. And You listen to this album, I don't care who you are. You're all alone in the bathtub listening to the Who sell out. You're going to play it over and over, and you're going to be blown away by this album. And I don't care who you are. You're going to fall in love with this album. It is so awesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 25 in rock and roll. It's interesting, clever, funny, irreverent, artistic, psychedelic,